Hey, y'all need a break? Listen to these stories from r/entitled parents. Bully gropes girl, gets his ass handed to him and entitled parents try to expel the girl. So there's this very small girl, at the time in 8th grade, and her dad is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor. I don't know if that's what you call it, like he has his own school and everything. Dad obviously taught her how to defend herself. One day, a bully, male and in 12th grade, is getting a bit weird and starts trying to flirt with her, and she's very uncomfortable. Creepy bully persists, is harassing this little girl for at least 5 minutes. He then gropes her, and I don't think anyone has ever hit a combo move so quick. This girl has pulled off what has got to be one of the fastest knockouts ever. She kicks him in the groin and follows it with an uppercut which flowed back down into an atomic elbow. This grade 12 guy was out like a light in less than half a second. Anyway, the parents of the bully start trying to take action and get this girl in as much trouble as possible for beating up their son. They called a meeting with the principal and the girl's parents. The principal sided with them and decided that the girl should leave their school. Dad is furious, but the school doesn't budge. Eventually Dad says, "My daughter is staying at this school and that sicko is leaving. He can either leave quietly and immediately, or we can escalate this. We'll sue for sexual assault and come after both the school and the family." The school waived all punishment the girl had been given and expelled the bully on the spot. That dad could not have been prouder of his daughter for knocking out a creep who was literally 3 times her size. Mom felt entitled to my wish after I was diagnosed and survived cancer. Written on mobile. If this doesn't fit this sub, let me know and I'll remove it. So today I, 29, female, am 13 years in remission from cancer. I had a very aggressive type, with less than 20% chance of survival for the first 5 years. Chance of the specific type coming back after 5 years was reduced to 0%. But that's not the story I'm here to share, it's just relevant information. As I was 16, I qualified for Make-A-Wish. I'd played around with a bunch of potential ideas: destination vacations, meeting my favorite band, getting electronics. Once the idea of traveling somewhere warm came up, my mom, EP, was convinced that was what was happening with my wish. The discussion of Barbados came up, so that's what she set her mind to. However, I was still on the fence, and after discussing it with my correspondent at Make-A-Wish, I wanted to meet my favorite band. We would not have been able to go to the Caribbean for the trip, simply because of costs, but we could have still gone somewhere warm, and out of country. We live in northern Canada, -40°C winters. There was talks of Florida, California, or even Hawaii as a destination to meet them at. I wrote a letter directed to said band, explaining how listening to them helped me through treatment, and one song in particular that the youngest wrote, and my correspondent had mailed it out to the managers, and they were going to begin preparations for the band to get time scheduled for the wish. When I told my mom what I wanted and the plan to meet the band, she went nuts. She went off about how she deserved this trip as much as I do because she was there for me the entire time. And that if I wanted to do anything besides going to Barbados, I could find another adult to supervise the trip because neither her or my stepdad would not be joining me, since it wasn't what she wanted. She then told me to pack my bags and I'd be staying at my dad's place until I came to my senses, and told Make-A-Wish that we were going to Barbados. I spent over a month at my dad's, and the correspondent trying to convince me to go through with what I really wanted several times during this period, before I caved and let my mom have what she wanted. Now my parents did make a compromise with me at the time, and told me they'd drive me to their concert in Toronto if I had paid for the entire trip. Foolish 17-year-old me thought this was a great idea. I get to see the band in concert. I make my parents happy in the end. It cost a lot, my parents complained the whole time, but at least I'd seen them in concert. On the occasional time where the conversation of the trip to Barbados comes up, my mom likes to paint herself as the victim after all these years. Could you imagine if you'd have gone through with it and we'd have missed out on going to Barbados? You would have gone with person's mom instead and left us, her and stepdad, behind. I would have never forgiven you if you'd done that. To this day, I am still a huge fan of that band. They were on hiatus for a while, but came back, and this whole situation really sticks in my mind, especially when I see them performing on shows and on their 2 tours they've done post-hiatus. Yes, I saw them in concert, and it was a great time, but I could have physically met them, and gone to a concert through Make-A-Wish, while traveling to another country, without having to pay out of pocket for the experience. All because my mom felt entitled to making my wish about her, rather than the actual recipient of it. I understand that she didn't care to meet the band herself, but there could have been many opportunities available aside from just doing that. I nearly died. It shouldn't have been a question of doing whatever I wanted for my wish, especially with the extremely high chance of the cancer coming back. Edit to add, many people have asked if I am still in contact with her. There's too many to answer individually, and yeah, we do still have a relationship. There have been other things her and my stepdad have done since this major one, but nothing amounted to what she did for that trip. Part of the reason I keep contact is so my son can have a relationship with them, but I limit personal conversations with them. Edit 2, the band was the Jonas Brothers. The youngest of the 3, Nick, has type 1 diabetes. He wrote a song called A Little Bit Longer about his struggle when he was diagnosed between 12 to 14. It was released a month before I was diagnosed with cancer. It resonated with me during difficult days. Edit 3. Thank you everyone for all the awards. I didn't think this post would blow up so much. I just had wanted to share this situation for a long time because it always bugged me. EM wants me to let her brats put their hands in my food. My husband and I went out for a quiet dinner on Saturday night. We were sitting at our table when two women with 3 kids sat at a table near us. 2 of the kids, boys, looked around 4 to 5 while the older girl looked around 12 and was in her phone most of the time. The other 2 soon started running rampant in the restaurant while their moms sipped cocktails unbothered. One of the boys approaches our table with his hands out and I can tell he's gonna try and touch my food. I lift my plate up and say no, please don't touch it. Kid just laughs at me and leaves to run another lap around the room. I see the mothers watch this happening but pretending to not be aware. My husband is not looking too pleased at this point because he predicts a repeat and that's exactly what happens. The kid tries his food and he does the same I did. Kid then turns to my plate again and this time I swatted his hand away, lightly and not at all forcefully. Kid starts crying because I wouldn't let him touch my food. EM, now suddenly all concerned, that was so mean. He's not doing anything wrong. Me, excuse me but I don't want anyone else's hands in my food. EM, he's just a kid, it's not a big deal. Me, not mine, thank you. So I'm not interested in having him touch my food. Please mind your children. At this point she's about to say something more but the server tactfully brought their food and engaged them in conversation. EM and other lady kept looking daggers at me all along. P.S. I did not expect this to blow up. Thank you all for the awards and sorry if I'm not able to reply to everyone. Sell your property to someone who isn't my daughter. I'll get you expelled. When I was in university I bought myself a longboard to get around campus. A lot of the students were doing it and I thought it would be easy. Well, after a few falls I changed my mind and switched to a bike. I figured that if I wasn't going to be using it I might as well sell it to someone who would. I posted it on Facebook Marketplace at a good price and had a few people interested right away. The first person to contact me was happy to meet my price and available to meet right away. I updated the listing to pending offer and drove out to meet the buyer. She liked the board and purchased it with no bargaining. When I got home I had a message from a high school girl asking if it was still available. Me, sorry no, someone just bought it. Her, no, you have to go get it back. I love this longboard, it's perfect for me. Me, sorry it's sold, I am no longer the owner. I don't have it. Her, ask for it back, tell the buyer that you changed your mind. Offer $20 for their trouble and I'll up the price. I wanted to end the argument so I said I'd follow up with the new owner and ask them if they would be interested in selling it to the high schooler a little more. I contacted the buyer to let her know that someone was inquiring about the longboard and was willing to pay a little more. I asked her if she'd like the contact details in case she wanted to make an easy $20. The new owner thought about it and said no, she wasn't interested. Fair enough, so I contacted the high school girl to let her know that I checked with the new owner and they were not interested in selling. Her, this is your fault. I feel like you've just kicked me in the gut. You're a terrible person. I wasn't in the mood for further chatting and blocked her email. Fast forward 1 week and I had an email from the high school girl's mother, EM. EM, my daughter tells me that you promised to sell her a longboard but changed your mind and sold it to someone else. That's unacceptable. Me, nope, your daughter asked me if I could sell her a longboard after I had already sold it to someone else. The posting noted that it was pending pickup when your daughter reached out to me. Sorry for the confusion. EM, no, you will get my daughter that longboard, you're going to compensate her for the pain and suffering you've caused, you'll be giving the longboard to my daughter for free. Me, look lady, I don't own the longboard anymore. Someone else bought it. Then go get it. I know the dean of your university. If you don't deliver the longboard to me by the end of today I'll get you expelled. Do you really want to lose your chance at having a good job over a longboard? You'll do the right thing or else. I stopped responding because that was absolutely ridiculous. I didn't block the email though. And the next evening I had another treat. EM, I went to complain to the dean, your time at the university is limited. While I was there my daughter saw someone riding her longboard today. How dare you sell it? You'll be sending us $500 for a brand new one. After all you won't be needing your money for tuition next semester. My address is censored, you better deliver that money or else. What's your phone number? Text me at number when you're coming. Well, that night I went for a little ride and drove by their home. I took a photo of the 2015 BMW 228i convertible in their driveway and posted it on Craigslist for $500. I asked that interested buyers text EM's number and promptly blocked her email. My friend texted a few days later to ask about the car. Apparently EM is responding to everyone thinking that it's me, and demanding that they come with the $500 and a new longboard for her little angel, but that she's not selling the car. The dean never called me to his office. I graduated without issue. Woman I babysat for when I was 13 tries getting me to babysit over a decade later. So there was a neighbor we had when I was in middle school and I used to babysit for her. She was a nice enough lady and she had an 8-year-old at the time. I would just go over to her house with him after school for a few hours for some extra money. She eventually got different hours at her job, I think. Maybe it was another reason, but either way she didn't need me to babysit anymore after like 6 months or so. We moved like a year later and I haven't really thought about her since. I'm now almost 25, I have my own house and work a 9 to 5. I got on Facebook like 2 weeks ago. I don't have the app, I just check on my computer every once in a while, and I had a message from the woman I babysat for. Her message was basically, "It's been so long. How are you doing? You used to babysit my son years ago when you lived down the street. My son actually had his own baby earlier this year. I'd love for you to meet her. We actually could use someone to watch her Wednesday through Friday before my son and I get home from work. You were great with my son, you were the first person I thought of." I was so confused by this message. I babysat her son for maybe 6 months over a decade ago, and she wants me to come and babysit her infant granddaughter now. I was the first person she thought of? LOL. I messaged her back and essentially said, "It's good to hear from you. That's lovely that blank had a daughter, she looks so cute in your pic. Unfortunately I'm not interested in watching her, I'm sorry. I work until 5 and would be unable to anyways. But I hope you find someone." So it's been 2 weeks since this and I have gotten, no joke, 10 more messages from her begging me to babysit her granddaughter. I barely know these people and she will not stop asking me. She even asked me to change my work schedule so I'd be able to, offering me $10 an hour to watch her. I am about to just block her, but I could not believe how strange this was and could not believe the requests she was trying to make. Entitled mother-in-law threatens legal action for not seeing grandchildren one weekend. So, this has been my weekend/week, guys. Friday night, around 10:30 p.m., my mother-in-law texted my hubby, H, informing us she would be at the apartment to get the kids Saturday evening. This was worded as an FYI, not a request. At the time she was informed that we have plans for Saturday evening, but she could get them Sunday if weather permitted. She argued this, but gave in. Saturday night comes and the roads are not safe. Mixed snow and rain all day with more in the forecast for Sunday. Husband texted mother-in-law that the kids wouldn't be going anywhere because of the road conditions. She agreed that the roads were bad and we thought that was the end of it. Sunday husband went to work and the kids and I went about our normal weekend routine. Then, at noon mother-in-law showed up on my porch informing me she was taking the kids, and had the stuff to cut their hair, which had never been discussed. I reiterate that husband had told her the kids were not leaving the house because the roads were not safe. She proceeded to scream at me that she can take the kids whenever she wants to, because they are mine. I told her, "Have a good day," then shut and locked the door. I then texted husband to let him know what had gone on and to expect her to contact him. She sat in my parking lot for 10 minutes screaming at him and then left. When she left, I called a friend to come over in case she came back before husband got home from work. The day was going as normal until at 3 p.m. when someone tried to walk into the apartment without knocking and then began pounding on the door. Mother-in-law was back, knowing there was about 5 hours until husband got home. I did not open the door. She started calling and texting husband at work telling him to call her or she would call the cops. He did not. About an hour before he got off she texted him saying she had called and was waiting for them to arrive. Husband took a different route home, which allowed him to avoid walking past her car, and we went about our normal night, kids' bath and bedtime since there was school the next day. She finally pulled out of the parking lot at 9:30 p.m., 6.5 hours after arriving. The texts and calls haven't stopped and today she left husband a voicemail threatening legal action if he doesn't call her and let her see the kids. We have removed her from all of the kids' information at their schools, in case she tries to go that route, and are currently looking for a lawyer to make sure nothing happens. Edit, my state does not have grandparent rights. Edit, to reassure everyone about the kids while they are at school, the school was notified of the situation on Monday. She is not allowed to enter the school and I picked them up, so she had zero access to them from the school building. Edit, I am the stepmom to the younger two, they do not know their biological mother, but it still limits my legal rights for now, but we are working on me adopting them. The oldest is mine from a previous marriage. Update: she's been texting husband at work today, acting like nothing happened. He's ignoring the messages. How dare I have better grades than my sister? This happened I think when I was 12. I always did fairly well in school, but my sister not so much. I knew she could do better. But she really didn't try all that hard. Then she'd be unhappy when she'd get low grades on a test. She didn't fail much, but got a lot of D's. One of the few things my parents and I ever actually agreed on together was trying to give my sister pep talks to try harder in school. My mom had a very, my princess can do no wrong, personality. But she still seemed to want my sister to succeed in school. So she forced me to help sis with her homework when I wasn't busy. I didn't mind helping with the homework, but sis didn't make helping her easy. She'd get mad if I didn't just do the homework for her. And yes, my mother did outright try a few times to make me do my sister's homework for her, but my dad shut that down fast. So my sister would get bored easily and go play video games when I didn't just give her the answers. So I stopped trying to help since she wouldn't listen. Not long after this my sister failed several assignments in a row, and my parents forced her to do her homework before gaming, which really made her upset, but she complied. Not long after this I got my annual report card and all my grades were pretty decent. When I presented the report card to my mother, my sister suddenly got upset and left the room. I asked mom what that was about and she scolded me saying, "How dare I rub my success in my sister's face?" I was a bit flabbergasted because this had never been an issue before and said I wasn't doing that at all. My mother then waved her finger in front of my eyes and said it was my fault. Sis was so unhappy because she's trying to do better in school and I was bringing her down by being too happy about my report card around her. I grew some backbone and said that all I did was do good in school. I wasn't flaunting anything. Plus, how is it a crime to be too happy? Well, I guess that was the wrong answer to her because she immediately sent me to my room and said I wasn't getting any dinner. Dad was late getting home that night, so I went hungry till he got back. When I told him what happened, he called my mother out. She started lying through her teeth and said that I was bragging about my grades and flaunting them at my sister by waving the report card in her face. And my sister backed up my mom on this lie. My parents ended up fighting because my dad didn't believe what my mother was saying. Like my sister, she was a terrible liar in her own way. Whenever she lied, she'd always get overdramatic about every little detail, and often couldn't keep a story straight without holes being poked in it. So dad knew I was the one telling the truth. Mom was pissed that dad didn't believe her. And then he scolded her like a child for sending me to my room without dinner over something that wasn't my fault. He then told her to apologize to me. She rolled her eyes and gave me a really fake sounding "I'm sorry," and then stormed outside to cool off on the patio. My dad then made me a late dinner to make up for what mom did. He also grounded my sister from video games for a few days for lying to him. And that made her scream and follow mom outside. I got to have a good dinner of grilled cheese sandwiches and Camel's tomato soup that night, something I still enjoy making and eating to this day. About a year or so after this, my sister copied a book report I did in elementary school, and my mother let her get away with it, but that's another story for another post. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments.